announce Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Focusing on the lives, experiences, and viewpoints of motherlode women, the show features a rotating cast of 4 women of all ages and from all walks of life. Quick, upbeat, and fast-paced with a variety of topics, this 1-hour show will be aired live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Tune in, it's Just Between Us.
Good morning and welcome to Just Between Us. We have a full panel today, so I'm not going to chit-chat with you. I'm going to get right into this. I'm Susie from Volcano.
I'm Pat from Sutter Creek.
The spoiled brat.
Monique from Pioneer.
And Austin from Pine Grove.
Who go Buffaloes.
Yeah, go Buffaloes.
We have to be neutral. Go Argonauts. What are they, the Cougars?
No, they're the Mustangs.
Mustangs. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Courtney, BYU Cougars. Anyway, let's get started.
Okay.
And Austin, you're going to roll.
I'll pick, I guess.
Or vice versa.
Okay, first one.
Yeah.
Oops, got it.
Sorry.
All right, the first subject is big issues. How are we doing?
4.
Education.
Okay.
Okay.
And the next one is...
Let me just pick another one out of there.
Sure. Now I
Okay,
can.
how about that one?
Okay.
Are you ready
Number 1.
for your golden years?
I'm
That'll
not.
be interesting.
You know what? Because Austin is younger, let's pick something different so he doesn't have to worry
Yeah.
about
Yeah, we'll go with
golden.
it on.
Yeah.
Number 5. Do you have your affairs in order, such as living trusts, etc.?
Okay, let's go for another one. Is there anything with McDonald's in it or anything?
Okay, here, yes. For what the future brings, good or bad. Are you ready for what the future brings, good or bad?
I can do that.
That's actually really
We can
good
do that.
for
We're
all
gonna take
ages.
we're gonna take a short break and we'll be right back. Yeah. There's
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
And now back to Just Between Us.
All
welcome
right.
back
What
to
are we
Just
doing?
Between Us, and we're gonna do our first topic. What is it, Patricia?
Go ahead.
Big issues. How are we doing? Education.
In education. Well, I think that we still need to make a lot of more strides. I think one of my pet peeves about education is that anytime somebody runs for a public office, they always talk about education, but at the end of the term or until they run again, then they talk about education, but nothing is being done about
Right.
education. It's a sin that parents have to spend so much money besides paying their taxes, sending their kids to school to get an education. It's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I think it is kind of interesting that the lottery was designed to, like, the lottery's money would go to help schools, and that was supposed to build up our education system. Over the years, it's gradually just gone from, politicians are going, okay, well, their schools are getting all this money from the lottery, so we can take some from here.
But
And so
Austin-
it's not adding any money, it's just...
But Austin, I believe that the money that is contributed to the educational system from the lottery,
Yeah.
they take so much away.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
They deduct.
Right.
Yeah, they take a bunch
Yeah,
of it
that's what
away.
he's saying.
Yes, there's never
So
an
there's not a
abundance
happy,
of more money.
No, so there's not a happy medium. And
No.
you know, if you want to cut down on products and stuff, then maybe every kid should have to just bring a laptop to school, plug in and do it that way.
Honestly, that would be so simple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
but you know what
paper, no
happens with
nothing.
that, Susie, is if you require a student to have an expensive item like that, then you have so many families that can't afford one specifically
True.
for their kids, then it becomes a big problem at school. You know,
Yeah.
you can't even require children to participate on a field trip and pay for the field trip because
Right.
if they're not financially able, the school or
Well,
donation ends up paying for it.
First of all, I don't believe in homework. I don't think any kid should have homework. When they come home from school, they've had ample time during the course of the day. When kids come home from school, that time should be spent for family and for kids to get outside, not sit in front of a TV,
Right.
get out and play. You and I were from one generation where we played all the time. You know, we had to get out and do things. We had chores to do. My
Same here.
grandkids have chores to do. So I believe that no homework. I don't think we need it, but I
It'd
think
make it
that
so much better.
It would, but you know, there's a little bit of a lack of control in the classroom where the teachers are not able to manage the classroom.
They're not
Sometimes
allowed to.
Well, they're not allowed to be strict. And then you have students talking, and then everybody learns different. So it takes an hour and a half to cover one subject. Now,
Right.
student A has been sitting there for an hour and 15 minutes. They got it the first 15 minutes, listening to everybody else's questions, and therefore they're not getting their work done. So at the end of the class, okay, we'll finish problems 1 through 40, bring it in tomorrow.
Well, it's not necessarily always the case. I mean, at least in my English class, we'll go through, 3 or 4 things that we have on our agenda in an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, in some classes, it's not hard. It's English. It's bound to get done, and if you don't get it done, you do it on your own time. That's simple. Then there's my class, my government class, where we're supposed to present like 3 or 4 debates and have our entire class going, okay, who had the better debate here, who had the better argument, and it took us 4 days to do it because
Right.
it was
A lot
first off it was gun control, then juvenile death penalty, and so we started off with the 2 most controversial things there.
Right.
Those lasted 2 days each. Thereabouts.
But you know what, Austin? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, one of the things is I disagree with the idea of no homework, because the foundations that you learn in grade school, in middle school, and in high school are preparatory for college.
Yeah.
In college, you do no homework in the classroom.
Oh, sure.
It's learning. And if you do not start teaching a child that when they come home from school, whatever they do not understand, what they haven't finished, and what they need to study for the next day's spelling test, math test, or whatever, you do it at home. And you tell the kids, I mean, I've been through this with my kids, and now 1 day a week I go over and pick up my grandchildren. And I find it very interesting. My 3rd grade grandson is learning algebra.
Wow.
And I mean, because he was asking me, he says, I haven't learned these terms yet, and I've got to work on this. And his mother is a 3rd grade teacher. And I said, I don't know the new math because your dad and your uncle were not doing this, and I know how to do it, but I don't want to confuse you. And there are terms in there, because he said, I mean, he's in 3rd grade, and he says, I don't, factors and things like that.
Well,
so.
no. Let me clarify what I meant by no homework. I don't think that you should bundle a bunch of homework on kids. I think that any kid that's responsible, if they've got a spelling test, they're going to go home and they're going to do a lot of things on their own. But to go home and say read 12 chapters when there's other things to do, and I think that they need to be prepared. And usually when kids get to junior college, high school, and college, they know they have to be responsible for their education. Next topic.
Okay.
All right, that would be
What
this.
do we have here?
No, that was the education.
Are you ready? And so our question today is, are you ready for what the future brings, good or bad?
Austin.
I think I am. I think that I've got myself into a spot where, I'm able to move around. I have options on what I need, where I can go, what I need to do, and so I feel pretty comfortable.
Have you put your future, your education and everything, have you put that in a high priority, knowing that you're the only one that can do this?
Yeah.
Nobody else can do it for you?
No, I've already realized, hey, I need to get my schoolwork done. Granted, senioritis, the non-existent illness that all seniors get, is set in, and I don't like school anymore. I'm tired of it. But and that plays into, I hate coming home and having all this homework right after football. I'm getting home at like 7. But I realized that, hey, I've already come in here. I've gotten a job doing what I want to do. I'm working here. Great. And then I'm already looking at colleges to further my knowledge. I've got trust funds set up. I've got things going.
But see, the golden word that you said is that when you come home, you have to do this to educate yourself so you're prepared the next day. That's the point I'm trying to make. See, he's mature enough to understand. Patricia.
I sort of believe that there's a certain factor of people who spend their whole lives planning out what's going to happen in the future. And they're the planners. And then when things don't work out like they think, then they spend a whole lot of time being depressed about that. And I've led a very different life than a lot of people, because my life has been very hectic. I've moved 29 times since I've been married. I've lived in 7 states. Yeah, I mean, things like that. And I sort of look at it as that it's almost like one day at a time. You have to plan ahead, but you can't box yourself into, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. Because invariably, you do this, and then this happens, and you have to
Right, you can't
Absolutely.
slip that in there. And the whole thing is learning how to not just live day to day,
No, you have to do
but
some
you
planning.
have to do planning.
Right.
But you can't be so constrained with your thinking that
Yeah.
if this doesn't happen exactly when you planned that it would happen, you can't spend 3 weeks being depressed that it didn't go like I wanted.
Got to be able to
It's-
be flexible, and when plan number 1 comes to an end before it's been completed, you have to be able to say, okay, well, fine then. Here's some other options. Here's some other
Right.
things that we can do, and not spend time being depressed over because whatever didn't get completed or you didn't get your
But don't you
goal.
think a lot of people procrastinate? It's just like,
Oh, yeah.
they procrastinate on many, many things. John and I just finished, we did our trust. Because I told him, I said, it's just something you have to do. A lot of people will not look to their future and to take care of business because they think, as soon as I do a trust, I'm going to die. Well,
no.
At least you're prepared.
Exactly.
But the thing
We're
is,
all going to die.
we're all going to die.
You know, that's
But-
a given.
But,
It's a
but
question
the-
of when.
But the
Yeah, I
thing
know.
is that if your eggs are in a basket, at least I know if I went tomorrow or the day after, I know that this is in place, that Gwen set it up to where I know we have a blended family, and so we know exactly what's going to transpire. And I think, I agree, Pat, I think that you all hit it on the head. You have to make a plan and do not procrastinate and put things on paper, the important things. The little things, like
Well, yeah.
cleaning your diamonds, Pat.
That's every other Monday, right?
Many diamonds.
Also,
Every other week
it
is
depends
sufficient,
on
Patricia.
where you're at in life, too, don't you think, Susie? Because, being at my age, my plan right now, my current plan is making sure that my daughter's prepared for college,
Absolutely.
Getting her ready to go out the door, making sure there's enough funds to pay for college. That's where I'm focusing my preparation. Once that's done, then I go on to the next chapter, and she's in college. Then I'll be preparing, for retirement. I'll be preparing for, the next phase in life.
Absolutely.
So it just kind of
And
depends
that's
on where
what's
you're
really
at.
cool about the panel today is that you've got someone who's just starting. It's like, Austin, you're what, 18, 17?
17.
Okay, I have we're older than that. and
BMI.
yeah. And then you've got Monique who's young.
Mid-40s.
And there you go. And then you
the old
bring up the old cocka's bringing up the rear is Pat and I. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, we're gonna pick 2 new topics here,
Okey-doke.
Okay.
and we've got let's see, Monique. We've got
Okay, how about
a free for all.
a free-for-all, and then common sense will be the topic you're going to roll for. Number 6, does trying to tell someone that they lack common sense help or hinder them? Oh, good one.
Heaven forbid. We're gonna take a short break and we're gonna polish up some of Pat's diamonds, and we'll be right back.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. And now back to Just Between Us.
Just Between Us, and we're gonna do our next topic, and then we'll do our free for all.
Okay, so common sense. Does trying to tell someone that they lack common sense help or hinder them?
It hurts.
It's all
their
about how you
feelings.
say it, don't you think?
It hurts their feelings
Of course
regardless
it
of how
does.
you say it. And it is still the point you're trying to get across is you're not thinking correctly.
How do you put it softly?
The
And how do you
basic,
judge someone else and saying whether they have common sense or not?
well, no one has complete and total common sense. I mean, there's things that a lot of people can think, and Susie might not agree with it.
Sure.
Or it might just might not come to mind. But
Oh, I got to pick on me, huh?
Pat can do the same thing with her and her diamonds. But it doesn't feel good ever being told, hey, you're not thinking
You're
correctly. The
lacking
basic
something.
the basic connection is not being made, and it
I don't know if somebody said, Susie, you're just not thinking straight on that, and let me tell you why, and then that might trigger something in me,
Well,
and I
that's-
wouldn't hurt you, but I mean,
it's
I
all about how you
should
say it. Now,
glare at
that's a
you.
more appropriate way to say it versus you have no common sense. What's wrong with you? You know,
But
you
that's
just gotta
assuming that
approach
it's
it right.
only on one topic. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people who
And the whole
It's gone.
life just flies by right over the top
they're
of their
like, wait,
head.
what's going on? I don't know what's going on.
yeah.
My dad says I don't have common sense, and
But you're young yet.
part of that is true, but a lot of the times he tells me that because I'm trying to think ahead, because I try to anticipate what's he gonna have me do next, and when I try and do it the wrong way, then what are you doing? Why would that even be needed?
Trial and error, though, is
and it's
part
like,
of learning.
well, I've been trialing and erroring for a while. It
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
work.
That's
that's
all right.
okay.
That's
how
good.
you
Doesn't
learn.
work.
Well, one of the things too is, I know I've had people who will say to me, "So what do you think?" Because, and I said, and I always tell people, when I say anything, I said, "This is my feelings. This is my take on the situation, and it doesn't mean that it's right. It means it's my opinion."
Or right for
So-
the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, so it's a, it's what I think, and you can take the advice or not. I'll just tell you my take on the situation, and that way it kind of diffuses anything about. It's just like when somebody is upset with you, the best thing that you can do is to say, "I understand how you feel. Let's try to work it out." It diffuses everything. It puts it on a not you against me. It puts it on a
Let's fix this.
Let's learn from
let's
each other
fix
and
it.
fix it.
Patricia, you are Italian. Did you ever hear from your parents, what the hell were you thinking when you did that?
Yeah,
the way I was
I've heard it.
He's Italian. He knows what I'm saying.
You know,
Funny.
this sounds very strange, but I was born 40, and then I worked back. My parents, they didn't punish me, they didn't yell at me, and the only thing that my mom used to do was to say to me, I can remember one time when I was 6 years old, I said, "I'm going outside to play," and she said, "Would you get dirty?" And I said, "Why?" I mean, I remember this, and it was like I was in first grade, and she said, "Because that's what kids do." And I said, "But that is a waste of time. Then I
Yeah,
would just
see,
have
you-
to come
you
in
were-
and get clean."
you were very, very
yeah. And then
advanced
when
for
I
your-
was in high school, when I thought people were doing stupid things, I would use the excuse, "My mom won't let me do that." And that backfired because I had a bunch of kids over at the house, and I walked into the kitchen, and they were asking my mom why she wouldn't let me do these things, and I'm going behind her.
Don't say that.
And so then after they left,
Doesn't Ted tell you today, Pat, are you going to go out and get dirty today or what?
no, he's just like, that's
Just go.
The one thing that Ted said, he says, "You weren't ever a kid when I met you were 18, and you do not think like a woman." And I said, "I know." And so therefore,
So did you knock him on his rear end?
oh
when he
no,
said
he's
that?
right. No, he's right. And I said, "I know. I mean, I've dealt with women all my life, and I will never be president of an organization." And people would say, "Why?" And I said, "Because you would want me to leave."
Yeah, you're like you think a lot like I do. I don't put gender has nothing to do with when you're thinking of something.
But and also I've been in business my whole life. It's
Right.
like we don't discuss napkin colors for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
For we pick 5 minutes, talk about it, move on.
Move on
Like
and get
you,
something
Pat.
done.
yeah, and see, and
So,
I agree. I don't
and
think.
so
I
the
think
only
you can-
thing my mom sat me down at the end of, when all the people left, and she said, "Please just tell me what I've told you you can't do, so we don't run into this again."
But see, you had a very good relationship with your mother, and if you by perchance did a little thing wrong, you would sit and talk about it. Mine would say,
Right.
"I brought you in, I'll take you out."
No.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
No.
I mean,
Bada bing, you're
but
sleeping with the
nobody-
fishes.
Bada bing,
nobody
yeah.
Spanked anybody.
No, I
No.
never got. No, I have to admit, never
and
got
all
hit.
my dad would say if there was something that was going on and my brothers and I talked about, he would come in, he would sit down and he'd say, "I'm really disappointed in this."
Oh, that'd
And they
make the
used to
tears.
say,
I know, my father was
"Just
that
for
way.
us."
Yeah,
My dad was the same way. It broke my heart.
Let's talk about this because, and that happened very few times.
You know, it's kind of a new thing, just as Morgan's now 18, and I'm trying to let her make her own decisions, whether, they're good or bad. She's usually a pretty smart kid. But the other day she goes, "Well, do you think I should stay at my friend's house tonight, or should I come home?" And I said, "Well, I said, if you stay at your friend's house, just remember that you don't have everything you'd like with you. And then you might want to save that for like a special occasion when you don't want to drive home late at
Right.
night, up to Pioneer. Maybe you want to save that for, like after a football game versus
Sure.
just a weeknight. I said, but it's up
Sleep
to you.
in,
I
yeah.
go, just text me or call me. Let me know what you're going to do so I can know if you're coming home or make my own plans.
That's the right thing to do. We're going to go on to our first free-for-all.
Okay.
We're going to talk about relationships for our first free-for-all topic. So we're going to talk about anything from, longevity, like you and your lovely Ted have had for 47 years. God bless him. God bless his little heart.
All the diamonds.
Bless that man. And no, this one, you know what? This woman is an angel. She and her husband have been very successful, and like I said, you are really a role model. I hate you, but you're really a role model.
Oh. I love that
She's
man.
done everything right. Good kids.
Not
good
everything. but,
Well, all right.
you can't do everything.
You have
right,
one
but-
flaw. Jeez.
Really? What is it?
You see, she's not gonna.
I'd like to hear this.
Don't feel
Anyway.
pressure to talk about
Anyway,
it on TV.
you, my dear, you're like I am. We have both been through divorce, and we both thought never in a million years would we ever find happiness again.
No.
We have to go to a break? Yes.
Okay.
Break, real fast.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. And now back to Just Between Us.
Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty, so we're going to go right into this. We did this off air, and our next topic is friendships. And what is the one issue that would make you walk away from a relationship or a friendship?
For me, the big thing for me is people treating each other kindly. And I think one item that really stems people to behave badly is abuse of alcohol. And I would say that is probably my biggest problem with other people is that, I don't mind people have fun, go out and party, it's all good. Whatever you want to do, make yourself happy. But when it's a constant thing and it's someone
They need it
constantly
to have fun.
inappropriate
Yeah.
or rude or whatever, that gets old. And unfortunately, I have a dear friend that's an alcoholic, and she freely admits it, yet has been struggling for years to get a hold of it. And at one point, I finally just said, I hope that you take care of yourself, and I love you, but I don't like the way you treat me when you're drinking. And since you drink all the time, I'm not sure what to tell you.
Yeah.
I can't help you. I would love to, but that comes from inside.
Absolutely.
Of you. But
But you're being
thing.
you're being a good friend by saying
Yeah,
that.
and I said, I love you, get it together. I want to see you get better.
Yeah.
But I can't handle it anymore.
Right.
That's my
Austin,
issue.
you as a young gentleman,
Just amongst my friends, I have a hard time with people who are very one-sided with me. Like I was telling you guys off air, I have a good friend who is really one-sided. He sees nothing wrong with himself, nothing wrong with anybody that he dates, and within reason. I mean, he just realizes some things a little bit later, and he's like, well, I can't deal with that. But he doesn't really see the flaws in himself or in his girlfriend or in the people that he's around.
Austin, I would guarantee you he does see them. It's that he can't admit them. So
He doesn't
therefore,
want to.
He reflects and he'll point out other people's flaws and what they do wrong.
Yeah.
But he can look in the mirror and he sees them.
Yeah,
but he
exactly.
thinks if he talks about other people, he doesn't have to face his
Exactly,
facts
and
of
he
life.
does that with a lot of guys. He does it with me, another one of our friends who their relationship is strained as is, and it's for issues that I can't really come between to say, you know what, both of you just shut up and figure this out because you're friends. Deal with it, and I know both of them have their flaws as well, and I know I have my flaws, and I admit them. But I have a hard time when he gets really judgmental of what I say. Whenever he takes something that I say to heart, like it's a dagger going through his chest, it's like, you've said worse to me, and I laugh it off.
But see, you're more mature that way, because maybe he wants to get a rise out of you.
He doesn't. He really doesn't want to rise out of me because we've had 2 occasions where we were really close to going, toe to toe, but
he'll back off.
he knows that I'm not going to throw the first punch, and I know he won't.
Yeah.
Because he knows I'm not going to fight him. It's not.
It sounds like he has a little jealousy problem.
I don't know if it's jealousy. I just think it's self-conscious.
Insecure?
Yeah, he's insecure, I think, and he will never admit it. He doesn't ever feel comfortable admitting a mistake or a flaw, but
Oh boy, see, that's the first step
It's
towards
so
maturity.
much easier if you can deal with that. Yeah.
But the thing is, what he feels he has no power. And when he does things like that, he has power, be it good or it be bad.
And honestly, that is the case.
And the thing is, the unfortunate, one of the things that you could do is, when he does this kind of thing, say, well, if that's the way you feel, okay, diffuse the whole thing. Just no comment. Just
We'll see you
if
later.
that's the way you feel,
That's the way you
so be it. Just, and then say, I really don't want to discuss it anymore. If you shut it down, because I told both of my boys that, if you shut it down, but not in an aggressive way,
Yeah.
if you simply say, if that's the way you feel.
You're right, Patty.
so
Don't
be it.
give your power away to someone.
That's right.
And come down to their level and argue with them.
And I guess I've made that mistake. There was one time we went camping down in Los Osos area in San Luis Obispo, and we were joking, but he said something that he went too far with it. But I picture myself having tank armor protecting my feelings because it doesn't bug me, and he seems to have tracing paper.
Yeah.
So he said something to me, and it was too far. He went really far with it, and I was able to retort. And that to
Probably
him,
shocked him.
well, he wasn't shocked. He was just, he thought that I had gone too far and he hadn't. And so later that night, we had actually gotten into a shouting match because I confronted him and I said, look, I'm sorry that I said that, but you went really far there, and that was just disrespectful and rude, and I don't need to deal with that. And he got pissed off at me because of the way that I came and talked to him about it. I didn't say, Bobby, look, this has to stop. I'm sorry, and I hope that you can.
Perhaps in the future years, he'll either mature and handle things like he's supposed to,
Yeah.
or you being his friend, he's going to run up other people that are not going to be as gracious and mature as you, and he might have to have some facial work done someday.
In all honesty, he probably won't because he's 6'4" and 220 pounds. That's the one issue.
He hasn't met Pat and I. You just turn him over to me.
He's about yay big,
Yeah, no
and
need.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think betrayal is another, as long as substance abuse. But I think that people that betray you, that are supposed to be your friends, I think that is probably the ultimate. And the lack of respect for you to betray you. Like if you tell somebody something that was very special, just between the two of you as friends, and they violate that trust, I think that is probably one of the biggest things that will make you walk away. And I've done that. I have found 2 people that have done nasty things and said untruths, and believe me, I'm gone.
Even if they say something and it is the truth, and that's
It
what
makes
you
no
told
difference.
them, you don't break the confidence.
There you go. You're 100% correct. You don't break the confidence, and you don't do something like that because it's not fair for the fact that that you've put that faith in them and they've broken that confidence. However, vice versa, there are things that I know about people that I haven't seen for 30 years, some people that are gone from this earth and whatever, and I still will not break
Like
the
a
confidence.
safe deposit box full of people's stuff
Absolutely.
that are all
I will
locked up.
never do that. And I know a lot of people joke and they talk about, women like to gossip, men like to gossip, blah, 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 and this and that. I would never divulge some of the things that I know because I made that vow to them and myself, and I will keep that. I will not, go against somebody and do that. So, you ready for our next free-for-all?
Born ready, baby.
Okay. Oh, go on, girl. All right. We've been talking about different things, relationships, this and that, and this might come into play. We're talking about plastic surgery and enhancement and doing different things. There was a Korean woman, her ex-husband sued her because he said that they had ugly children, and he's blaming her. So he had DNA tests done, and obviously they were his children. But in the interim, he found out that his very attractive wife had plastic surgery and corrected things on her being before they got married. Now this is in Korea, this is not the United States, but evidently that court awarded him for her to pay him $120,000 because she gave him what he considered ugly children. And then she's had like probably about $100,000 of work done before.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I can put that to better use, believe me. But the thing is that now, first of all, how can a person say I have ugly kids? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to
Love
me.
them for who they are and not what they look like. You know?
Yeah, but do you think that the court should have allowed him to have that $120,000 payoff?
You know, I think because she didn't reveal her true self, whether it's, physical or sometimes it's emotional for people, but she didn't say, I've had some work done or, I looked like this before, what have you. I think in America that probably wouldn't fly, but in, obviously other countries have different beliefs. He thought he was getting a different package. He thought he was getting the beauty package because she is a beautiful woman.
But wonder if it was, it takes two to have kids.
Combination.
Maybe
of
he
genes.
has, maybe there's butt ugly on his side of the
Yeah, next to
family.
red and green, you get brown.
What I think is kind of funny is I'm wondering how long they were married, first off, because wouldn't you have seen pictures of your spouse when they were younger?
Unless she didn't have him.
Oh, well, she might have burned them all because she didn't like the way she looked. But it's still, if you are married to somebody, you're most likely going to see, if they have the pictures, granted, you're most likely going to see pictures of them when they're, 6 years old,
Sure.
playing in the front yard.
Sure. And nobody looks good when they're
High
getting new
school.
teeth in and whatever.
Yeah. You're going to see pictures of them, again, if they have the pictures. So I'm wondering if she just burned them and that's why he never got to see them.
But
Well, I'm kind of with Austin, and I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say it was the money he was after, but I can't imagine that, as you say, you usually see what, this is the family pictures. And if he had not seen any and she had hidden this from him, if somebody did that to me and it was like I didn't even marry this person, because if you're so duplicitous that you're going to hide something about yourself that was basically a real important area of your life, then I don't want to be married to that person. And I would feel very betrayed if, and yes, you can have genetic things that, come from other parts of, I can tell my own children.
Well, he didn't have a sex change. She didn't have a sex change. I would see if it was a sex change.
Cosmetic.
But it was cosmetic. She
can-
did things. She enhanced probably her breast and maybe had some.
Some work on her eyes. 'Cause her eyes look different than the children.
But regardless, that doesn't necessarily matter. She can, prior to surgery, she could have been just butt ugly. I don't know. It could have happened. But at the same time, you have to realize that genetics plays a huge role. And just because this guy looks extremely good looking and this girl's extremely good looking and their immediate family, they all look nice, that doesn't mean that that's what you're going to get. I know people that their entire family is nice looking except for them. Mm-hmm. And then you can trace it back to
like
an
the
ancestor,
grandfather.
grandpa
But he fell in love with her and dated
Outer
her
beauty.
and married her
Yeah.
because obviously when you meet somebody, the first thing you do is you look at them physically.
Yeah, and that's-
okay, and that's what he most likely he did, and because she was an attractive woman, and he got to know her. Don't you think before they got to the aisle and said I do, he knew maybe she had enhancements in her breast and
But see, my basic thing would be, if she hid those things,
But is that a false pretense?
Do we know if she hit him or?
well, see, that's
No,
the
we
thing.
don't,
We
but that's
don't know.
the- but if
But
he
still,
knew-
he married her after the fact. Not she didn't go out and sneak out and get all this stuff done.
But if he had known, and if he's so butthurt about it now, oh, you got plastic surgery before we got married, you betrayed me because this isn't how you would actually look. If he knew about it prior, I don't think he would have married her in the first place, because he would have been able to see, okay, you weren't that pretty. Hopefully our children come out correctly. Oh, they didn't. Oh, it's your fault.
And think about the children, when they get a little older, they're going to realize that they were so ugly that their father sued their mother.
Yeah, how's
for
that
money.
going?
He's
How
so
horrible.
shallow. What a
I mean,
piece
these
of
kids are
work.
going to grow up and go, wow, thanks,
Yeah,
Dad. That's
that I have a
nice."
problem with. But I can see where if he felt like this is a major part of your life that you kept from me, if that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's probably what he was irritated about.
Most
You know,
likely.
and I mean, and I can, I mean, I
So
can.
then, so then basically, he's a shallow person.
He is.
He.
The world is full of those.
Yes,
You know.
and he just
Like
went
a
and
puddle.
he married her on the pretense that I'm marrying a beautiful woman and whatever. What would have happened if that poor girl might have been in a terrible accident and needed to have
Who
some?
knows what happened?
Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
nobody
Well,
knows.
that's kind of irrelevant at this point, because she got the plastic surgery, but that's not the big issue. If she'd gotten in an accident and then had the surgery done, he wouldn't care.
Well,
but
you know what?
but he's
To hide
saying
it.
that she was ugly prior.
And didn't
It-
share.
the
any of it.
accident wouldn't have changed her
Yeah.
genetically. That just
No.
would have altered physically.
Well, maybe he's
She
no
could
box
still-
of chocolates either.
Well,
you know?
we've seen the picture of him. I mean,
No,
unless he got work done, we don't know about that. But he wasn't bad looking.
no. They're
I mean-
bad. She's a beautiful woman. She's
Yeah.
very
Very
pretty.
beautiful.
But if she had just gotten in an accident, that she could still, produce beautiful children.
Absolutely.
But it's because she wasn't in an accident. She
But
was just
see, but see,
ugly.
we don't know what she looked like before.
no. He could.
Her
he
perception.
Thinks that, he
And
thinks
we
that
don't know
his
what-
kids are
whether-
ugly, and they're not. They're not ugly.
No, they're cute kids.
We
mean,
don't know whether that she purposely withheld everything.
No, she.
I think that would be I mean, my guess is the media did one thing, and maybe that's the only thing that the lawyer could say, okay, we can sue on this. But that's probably where it all stems from.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't care that you did this, but you kept it from me.
have you ever picked up any of the magazines and you see movie stars before and after, movie stars without makeup and
Oh,
after?
I've
Yeah.
seen. My mom actually showed me a
Constantly.
video on Facebook, and it was the amazing power of Photoshop. And they took this lady, and she was pretty, and they did a photo shoot with her, and she was sitting like on her stomach, looking at the
I
camera.
saw that too.
Yeah, and then they put a wig on. her,
Absolutely.
And then they
change.
They like extended her neck and her legs and tanned
You
her
bet. I saw
Maybe
that one.
taller.
We got to go to a short break. We're going to come back and hit you up with our hot topic. Please stay with us.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. And now back to Just Between Us.
Welcome back. We have Austin, Monique, Pat, and myself today, and we want to hit our hot topic. And we're going to go back. I know people are going to say, what? But we're going to go back because a few things have come out the last couple of weeks here, a couple of days, and it's about Halloween and offensive costumes. And the one that I was really offended by is this couple allowing their child to go out dressed as a member of the Klan. And one with the two girls that from Britain that went out as the Twin Towers
on fire.
on fire,
Right, that's a
and
slap in the
one
face.
that went out as Hitler. A kid went out as Hitler. Now, personally, I find that not only offensive, I find that that hits way below the belt. It's ugly, it's uncalled for, and there were people, because of the Klan, because of Hitler and the Twin Towers, we lost some wonderful and beautiful people.
Many people died.
Why would people want to, with all the costumes out there, send their child out like that?
Is it supposed to be funny? Because I don't think it's funny.
The mother of the child who went out as the Klansman didn't see an issue with it. She was upset with neighbors. She was very upset with neighbors who wouldn't give her son candy because he was dressed like that. I'm sorry if you are dressed as a Klansman and you go up to pretty much any nationality's house besides Caucasian, you're not gonna get candy. You're gonna get turned away. That's
Yeah.
And you know
simple.
what? If you are a person that has their beliefs, fine, you have the right to believe that way. However, sending your child out dressed in a sheet and the symbolic of the KKK, I find is disgusting.
Well, I think Alan said that the kid's brothers had gone out. Yeah, family tradition, and I think the dad too.
Oh.
Yeah, and they'd all
Their
gone out there
mindset's
just
different
like,
than ours.
obviously they.
Well,
Where was this?
Indiana.
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, would you be offended if somebody came dressed as Hitler to your door? I mean,
Absolutely.
I know Prince Harry did it, and he got a lot of flack for it, and it was not funny.
Well, interestingly,
If people die from whatever you're trying to symbolize, I don't think that's something to be proud of. I wouldn't send my child out to be ridiculed and for people to slam the door in their face. That's not very fair.
The other thing that's bad is that the parents did this. I mean,
Yeah.
the child didn't come up one day and
The kid said he wanted to do it.
The kid
because
wanted to
his
do it.
older brothers
He learned
and
from the
Movie
family.
Fried Green Tomatoes.
okay.
Oh,
you
Lord.
saw it in
Alright.
the movie, so you want.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, I mean, if the kids went up to his mother and said, "I want to be a nudist for, Halloween," I doubt that the mother would have let the kid go out with no clothes.
No. If the kid went out with no clothes, that would be that illegal. But that costume can be done just by getting a nude colored morph
Right.
suit if you want.
Adam and Eve.
But nobody really,
Exactly.
yeah. But
And you
I
can go
mean,
to the
it's,
Statue of David, get a little fig leaf and glue it there. But granted, you have to have something on. With the Hitler costume, I mean, that is disrespectful. But you also have to think, Time Magazine at one point named him Man of the Year.
Yeah, well, that's
There-
just
there-
as disgusting if you
yeah.
ask me.
I mean, granted, was he doing all the crap that he was
Excuse me, Pat, I keep
that we knew about? Okay, was he doing all the stuff that he was doing?
Intelligent and persuasive and manipulative, but
Yeah,
what
was
he
he-
did was wrong.
Well, I get that. I'm saying, when they named him Man of the Year, was he killing Jews at that point, or was he?
Tell you at break.
Alan will tell me, but
okay.
that kind of raises the question: do you boycott Time Magazine for them doing that one time?
I
well.
would. I'd be honest with you. I
wouldn't have bought the issue.
No,
'Cause I'm not
I would.
gonna-
I
Just
would
that
not.
issue, though?
And it's the
Yeah,
same
that
thing. The Twin Towers is something that you lived through, and the
Yeah.
three of us lived through. And believe me, for me, it's still a touchy subject. And for two people to be that insensitive.
Well, I mean, there's a good example. When people exhibit not acceptable behavior,
Yeah.
other people have a right to say, "I don't want to be around them.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with them. I don't believe in what they're saying." And that's what the neighbors did
Yeah.
with that child.
And that's completely
And
acceptable.
so the mother who said to her child, "That's fine if that's what you want to do," she should have said, "You will probably meet some resistance, and that's their prerogative also."
Right. And that goes
And-
back to the first topic we discussed. Lack of common sense. Do you tell somebody? That is something that you would turn around and say, what the hell were you thinking? Why would you allow your child with all the comic
there's so much.
heroes out there and stuff,
Yeah.
Superman, whatever, a kid's going to come to you and say, I think I want to go dressed as the Klan because I saw it in a movie on fried green tomatoes.
I wonder if he knew what it was
Of course
exactly.
he did. Of course he did. If the
Okay.
father and the father and the other kids did that, of course he's going to do something like that. Totally disgusting. It's uncalled for. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back and wrap it up for you.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Between Us.
Welcome back. You can reach us at 223-4877, or you can fax us at 223-4866, or you can email us at bookme@tspntv.com. Austin, good luck to you and your team tonight,
Thank you
and
very
to
much.
both sides playing. I hope it's a safe and a non-injurious game. You guys have a lot of fun. It's going to be one of your last football games. Am I correct?
Yeah, we have this game, and then Amador has playoffs for sure, and depending on whether or not we win, if we win, then we have a home playoff game, which is going to be nice, and if we win, it'll also be Argonaut doesn't go to playoffs, so more incentive, but if we lose, we still get to go to playoffs, and
That's
so do
great.
they.
That's great. That's great. Monique, thank you for your segment this morning.
Well, my
It
pleasure.
was
It's fun
delicious.
cooking.
It was great. And
Thank
Pat,
you.
you keep them diamonds coming, kid. Boy, I tell you. My little spoiled one, you. No, she's worked for every carat, trust me. Trust me. Ted's a good man. You guys
He
have.
is a
I
good
want to
man.
congratulate you because you said you've been married for 47 years?
46.
46 years.
The next anniversary will be 47.
Holy Moses.
And we met 47 years ago, this January 6th.
And these two kids, you got married right out of college, right in college?
Right out of high school.
I was in my freshman year.
Freshman year in college. Yeah.
And then I got married at the end of my freshman year
Yeah.
in college.
And they've been together since. So see, it can happen.
It can.
It can happen. I can add up all of mine and come up to 47, I think, but
Maybe.
I'm not as great as you are, kid. So Monique, I understand that there is a special man in your life.
I do have a special person. I'm very
Congratulations.
grateful for.
And you deserve much, much happiness, and I hope he's
Okay.
the one. Have fun at the game. Be safe at the game tonight.
to the
Have a
game.
wonderful time.
Check out our new website upgrade, now News on Demand.